What is up, guys, and also ladies, if you're listening? Welcome back to the Relationships Made Simple for Men podcast with me, Bryce Bauer. Today, I want to talk about something that has been very relevant in my day today. Two of the couples that we met with today were experimenting with open relationships. This is a topic that comes up from time to time, and it's very relevant because if people are in a relationship, that isn't really fulfilling their needs, it's very normal to think, well, where can I get those needs met while also keeping the benefits that I get from my current relationship? And this has become more commonplace, I think. At least it's more known about because of the internet. And there have been documentaries on open relationship communities. So people are becoming aware that this is happening and it might even be happening in your community. So because I like to keep this simple, I'm just going to start by answering the question, do open relationships work? And the answer is no. And I know that some people might disagree with me or even get upset that I'm saying that, making a blanket statement. But for the type of relationship that I want to have and that I'm teaching other people to have, the answer is no, but I'm showing up here with receipts. I will tell you exactly why I think that is. The main reason why people open up their relationship is because they're not getting what they want from their current relationship. And the way I see it, there are only two categories. There's physical needs and emotional needs. If you aren't getting what you want in your relationship physically or emotionally or both, you will look to outsource that to somebody else, find it somewhere else. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not making a moral judgment on open relationships, but the type of relationship that I have and that I'm helping others create is based on leaning in together to try to get both of your needs met and to deal with the conflict that arises and to use that as a way to better understand yourself. And there are really magical things that can happen when you do that with one other person. You only have so much time and attention to give. And when you make your primary partnership the priority, there's really magical things that can happen. So, just like any decision, I know that there are pros and cons for being in an open relationship or being in a monogamous relationship. But the things that I really value, those are found in being in a monogamous relationship. We only have so much time on this earth, and we're in this game where we can't even see the clock. We don't know how much time we have. And so, given that reality, I want to see what's possible with you, and I want to put my trust in you, and I want to learn how to love deeper and bigger with you. With you, I mean Jenny, my wife. And I know that I could go outside the relationship and maybe find novelty and excitement, but there's something that I will never be able to create with an external relationship that I can with my primary partnership. Jenny and I are still only 10 years into our relationship, and I feel like I'm still learning more about myself and more about her. And we're hitting these milestones in our personal lives with our age, with what we want to create in business. Our health is changing. Our nieces and nephews are growing up. Our parents are getting older. There's so much that we have yet to experience. And to me, it seems very superficial to go find someone else to do that with, because any time that I spend with someone else is time that I'm missing out on spending with my wife. And the reality is that I really, really like spending time with my wife. I like being around other people with her. I like going on walks with her. I like making food with her. I like doing nice things that help her feel loved and appreciated. And she does the same with me. I like being physically connected with her. And that is because all the work that we've done on our relationship, it reduces the desire or the need to go outside and do that with somebody else. I don't have to outsource. I'm a part of a men's group and I think I get that male connection and some of the intimacy with my friends. But Jenny is really the one that I share all of me with. She knows all my stuff, all the things that some people will never get to know. And that is really, really special to me. Now, I realize that some of you might not be in that position. Maybe you're considering whether or not to stay in your relationship. Maybe you really want to stay, but it's painful. There's a lot of disconnection, a lot of conflict, or you aren't even talking that much. Maybe you aren't having sex, or there's not much physical affection. I get it. That can be really hard. And I can see why someone would want to go out of their relationship or open up the relationship if that was the case. So let's go back to the reasons. You may not be surprised to hear that when I hear men talk about their desire to go outside the relationship, it's more to do with the physical. They might say they want more variety or more excitement, or maybe they're not getting any sex in their relationship, so they want to get it somewhere else. And I very much understand that. But if you want to be a true relational warrior, I would challenge you to look at the reasons for why that is. If you signed up for this long-term relationship in the first place, you probably had a decent physical connection and then something changed. What was that? Now, there may be some very logical reasons like your wife got pregnant or she's going through menopause or your lives just got really busy. But I want to challenge you to look at the reasons for why you might have contributed to the physical relationship going downhill or stagnating. Because my guess is in most cases, there are really good reasons. If you caused some pain and never cleaned it up, if you were emotionally neglectful, if you lose your shit, even if you're nice 95% of the time, but if 5% of the time you lose your shit and you never clean that up, that is going to impact your wife's emotional safety with you and thus her physical safety. Or have you just gone really passive? Have you worked to try to build attraction to your wife? Or have you outsourced to porn or Instagram or some other fantasy? Odds are she probably knows and feels it. She knows that if your attention is not moving towards her, it's probably going somewhere else. And that can cause an undercurrent of tension and a lack of security in the relationship. Or have you been so busy and exhausted that you're just not very emotionally or physically available? And I know that there could be other factors here. Maybe your wife has sexual trauma. Maybe she is going through something biological. Maybe she's even slightly asexual. Some of that could be true, but my challenge would be to look at the ways that you've contributed to your sex life and your physical intimacy not being what you want it to be. In most cases, there's going to be something there. So going back to the open relationship, yeah, you can not look at that and try to outsource that somewhere else. But that's really the easy move. You're not going to grow from that. I don't think. I mean, there might be ways that you could, but I just don't see it happening in the same way. Or you can continue to look within. That's the move that I'm teaching people. And that is the most powerful move you can make. Now, with emotional connection, I know that can be missing too or need some work. And that is how a lot of physical affairs happen, is they start as an emotional affair. And it can be as simple as talking to a coworker or a shared friend or meeting someone while you're doing something that you enjoy and you have that shared interest. But if you're not getting the emotional connection you want in your relationship, it's going to leave you more susceptible to try to look for that somewhere else, especially if you also aren't getting it from friends. If you're a guy that's feeling really lonely and any woman is going to give you some attention, this leaves you at risk to want to go for it. And what can seem simple or innocent can turn into something else if we're not careful. And I'm specifically talking about having a dishonest external relationship and affair. Even if it's just emotional, it can really hurt your partner, sometimes even more than a physical affair. I'm forgetting where I heard this, but someone did a poll on the impact of affairs, and it showed that men are more upset if their partner has a physical affair with another man, whereas women are more hurt if their partner has a emotional connection with another woman. And I find that interesting. I don't know where I read that, but that does track with what I've experienced when people are talking about affairs. So similarly to what I said about the physical connection and your part in it, I would also challenge you to look for where you've dropped the ball with the emotional connection. And a lot of guys, in my experience, suck at this. They can get by without much emotional connection and just put their head down and go to work and do the things and check the boxes and kind of sleepwalk through life, not feeling very connected to anybody. And then maybe their partner starts to shut down or live her individual life without connecting to them. And then one day they wake up and they're like, I'm lonely. This sucks. Or they have an opportunity and it feels really good because they haven't had it in a while. And they're setting themselves up for this because they aren't attuned to their own emotional and connection needs. And they're not putting in the work with their partner to make it happen. So again, my challenge for you as a man, if you're not experiencing the emotional connection that you want in your relationship, I'd want you to think about, how much education have I done on relationships? How are my listening skills? More specifically, what would my partner say about my listening skills? Not just how I feel about them. Have I learned how to ask deeper questions and have present-centered conversations about everything that's going on in our lives? Have I learned how to resolve and repair from conflict? Have I actually set aside the physical time to just be with my partner, to show them that I care, to show them that I appreciate them, to help them feel safe? And this is very much a reap what you sow situation. And I know that life gets busy and people change, and there can be periods where it's just hard to do. But I think going outside the relationship is just the easy move, the low-hanging fruit, because you don't really have to look within. You don't really have to turn towards your partner and see if there's any hurt that you've caused or hurt that you've caused yourself by being so disconnected. Again, this is why I don't think open relationships work in the way that I want to do relationship, because you can learn way more about yourself with someone that you live with, that you share all of your life with. They're going to be able to point out things and trigger things and see things that other people cannot when you're just having surface level relationships. And this is really a good thing. I know it might be kind of annoying and frustrating and hard to look at sometimes, but I think this is the gold in long-term partnership, is that your partner's just going to see all of you. They're going to see all these annoying things that you do. They're going to see you in ways that you can't really see yourself. They're going to trigger those childhood wounds. And then if you're up for the challenge, that's what we deal with. That's how we learn to love deeper. It's by taking the hard road and not the easy road. And I intentionally saved this caveat for the end, which is that I think it could be possible to do an open relationship intentionally. There are coaches and therapists out there that do this work, but I've never really seen it done. So I'm not saying don't do it. You can do what you want. But in every case that I've seen, it's been when the couple isn't really willing to face their stuff, so they turn away and it's an avoidant move, or it's just highlighting what's already happening, which is that they are separating or disconnected. And so I've never seen it turn out well. I've never even seen introducing the idea go well. But who knows? People can disagree with me, and I'm open to hearing other perspectives. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, this is one that just kind of landed in my lap today. I'm like, I have to talk about this. I've been thinking about it a lot today. I'm watching a couple couples struggle and trying to help them turn inward to figure out what they really want and what's missing, and to get honest with themselves. And it just seems like what they've done hasn't really worked. It hasn't been done consciously. It hasn't felt good for both parties. There have been some addictive qualities to it, with wanting more excitement when they aren't getting that in their current relationship. You never know who might be impacted by this. One couple has kids, and what are they really trying to teach their children about marriage and being in a long-term partnership? Those are just some of the thoughts rumbling around in my head. But anyways, I hope this was helpful. If you are considering opening up your relationship, I'd suggest talking to someone like me first to iron out the details and really get clear on what's happening. Sometimes bringing this up to your partner just out of the blue can feel really threatening and can do a lot of damage. So this is one you might want some help with, where you can listen to this podcast together and talk about it. So that's what I got for today. If you want more info on me or want to work with me, you can go to www.bricebauer.com. I'll see you next week. Peace.